51-year-old Rodney Reed was sentenced to a death for the alleged murder of 19-year-old Stacy Stites in 1996. Reed was arrested at the time based on DNA test, but his lawyers have argued for years that the tests were critically mishandled. Less than 50% of returning veterans in need receive any mental illness treatment. And the Veterans Administration reports that 22 veterans die of suicide every day. Election night is typically stressful for many people, but this year, the anxiety of a yet-to-be-concluded election has stretched on for days. Police say that this was the park where 11-year-old Josephine Riley was last seen on the afternoon of November 24th. Former Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley is all over social media this week. But what's the reason? DJ Bauer takes a look at the man and the song that started this sensation. The Democratic Party argues the Green Party's nominees did not properly submit candidate affidavits to go with paperwork. Basketball season is right around the corner. But will players still shine without their fans on the sideline? Let's check to see how some players are adjusting to the new COVID restrictions. After further investigation, Dallas County prosecutors found racial messages and comments on Geiger's social media, which has helped speak to her character and her undeserving of a lenient sentence. According to a National Retail Association survey, about 148 million people are planning on participating in Halloween-related activities this year. That's down 172 million since the survey in 2019. The committee seeks to have a new efficient building system that will be connected to the campus chilled water system, allowing for climate-controlled rooms. In addition, renovated social spaces and shared private bathrooms will be provided on each floor.
It's just hard to explain. I mean, it was rough, very rough on me, my family. Some days were better than others, but it's traumatizing.
In 1992, Theophilus Wilson was arrested for a triple murder in Philadelphia at age 19 and faced life in prison without the possibility of parole.
And I always tell people that pain is a serious motivator, and it can motivate you negatively or positively. And I chose to do it. I chose to allow it to affect me in a positive way. So I never really sat there and just, I never gave up at all.
Wilson was eventually freed after 28 years in prison for a crime he never committed. A witness admitted lying at his trial in exchange for a plea agreement. According to Mellison Law Office, wrongfully convicted people have spent an average time of 13.6 years behind bars, totaling more than 4,000 years in prison. Misconduct contributes to false criminal convictions of more than 54% of innocent people, who are later exonerated. The Innocent Project reports that 2 to 5% of people serving time behind bars are innocent. With over 2 million people incarcerated in the United States, a 2% rate is equivalent to over 40,000 people wasting their lives behind bars. The average age of exonerees at the time of their conviction is 27. But Giovanni Reed was falsely accused of a homicide when he was just 16 years old and spent 26 years in prison before being freed.
Because when I used to meet people and they hear that I have a life sentence, they think that you're the worst person in the world. Like, you must have done something real crazy in order to wind up with a life sentence. But then when they find out that I'm not even responsible for taking a life, it's like, how do you measure that?
Nationwide, there has been more than 2,000 exonerations of innocent inmates since 1989. Reed says it's important to surround yourself with the right people.
It's nothing but pain and suffering in prison. Like, if you really care about your legacy, if you care about your life, and the people that care about you, if you care about them, you'll be really conscious about steering away from things that's going to land you in that kind of situation.
In Harrisburg, I'm Kennedy Miller for the Center County Report. Many veterans who have gone to war, like Airman Sergeant Elliott of Annville, who spoke with us but asked that his first name is kept private, says the memories stay with them forever.
I've always said to friends, every life I took a piece of me with them.
And when those veterans return home, many face serious challenges, including mental illness, PTSD, and other issues. A recent report by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs revealed in the past decade, more veterans have died by suicide than died during the entire Vietnam War. Killing in war often triggers a moral conflict that can cause long-lasting damage.
None of us want to kill. None of us want to maim or hurt anyone else. And I wish that wasn't a part of war, but it is. I don't think anyone who takes someone else's life is okay, no matter how much he or she says it's just my job, it's what I'm trained to do. It's not your nature.
Basic training can be the transition into a new life, where soldiers are exposed to extreme stress.
When I went to basic training, that's when everything changed. The hardest thing for me was to not see my family on a daily basis, not hearing from my parents or my sisters. And other than that, just not knowing what to expect the next day.
Airman Purcell of Annville, who would also like his first name kept private, says meditation helped him overcome the stress of being a soldier. Less than 50% of returning veterans in need receive any mental illness treatment. And the Veterans Administration reports that 22 veterans die of suicide every day.
I'm worried because my son is in the military and my grandfather, he was also in the military. And when he came back home, he was very different. He was not himself. I was afraid of him, and I thought that maybe he would hurt himself and possibly us too.
Fear and anxiety can be overwhelming for veterans and their families. There are resources available, and experts encourage people to reach out and get help. In Annville, I'm Kennedy Miller for the Center County Report.